The rain slides down the neon signs of Tokyo as you realize this is where your story begins. At level 1, Associate. You are Kenji Sato, 19 years old in the year 2008, standing outside a cramped storefront in Kabukicho, pretending you belong in a world that moves quietly but never sleeps. Your first job sounds simple on paper because you carry an envelope containing 300,000 yuan across 3 streets and leave it with a man who never says your name. Nobody explains the rules directly, but you learn fast that silence, punctuality, and respect weigh more than anything inside that envelope. The men you work around wear sharp suits that hide years of history, and they watch you the way a banker watches numbers, calm and calculating. You notice how every bow is measured, every word trimmed short, every movement careful as if the air itself keeps records. One evening inside a quiet room in Shinjuku, you witness a traditional Sakazuki ceremony, where sake cups pass slowly between hands, and loyalty becomes a contract nobody signs, yet everyone understands. In that moment you realize this world runs on order, reputation, and patience rather than chaos, which makes it colder than you expected. Days blur into errands, late-night meetings, and long walks through glowing streets, while you quietly prove that Kenji Sato can follow instructions without asking questions. When one of the senior members finally studies you for a long, silent second and says you might be ready for something more than errands, you understand that the real test is only beginning. The first time you step into the inner room of the office in Tokyo and hear your name spoken with quiet approval, you realize your life has shifted into level 2, Shate. You are still Kenji Sato, now 22 years old in 2011, and the same streets of Kabukicho suddenly feel smaller because people are beginning to recognize your face. The initiation happens in a narrow room in Shinjuku where a small table holds 2 sake cups, and the silence feels heavier than the humid summer air. When the cups are raised during the Sakazuki ceremony, you understand that this moment marks the line between a kid who runs errands and a man expected to carry responsibility. Your days now move with stricter rhythm as you collect payments from small businesses that quietly cooperate and report every 50,000 yuan or 200,000 yuan with careful accuracy. No one celebrates the work because the organization values reliability over noise and discipline over ambition. Older members observe how you speak, how you stand, and whether you show respect when the room grows tense. The most important rule becomes clear quickly because your reputation is now measured by consistency rather than courage. On a humid night in September 2011, a senior member named Takeshi Morita quietly tells you that loyalty is not proven once, but tested every day in small decisions nobody else notices. That sentence stays in your head as the neon lights of Tokyo flicker above the sidewalks, and you begin to realize this path demands patience more than anything else. When the organization finally entrusts Kenji Sato with supervising a new recruit during a routine collection run worth nearly 800,000 yuan, you sense that another door has opened, and it leads directly toward the colder world waiting at level 3. By the time the city calendar flips to 2015, you realize the quiet weight of experience has pushed you into level 3, Kyodai. You are still Kenji Sato, now 26 years old, walking through the glowing maze of Tokyo with the calm confidence of someone who has learned how every rule in this world works. The younger recruits watch you the way you once watched the older men, studying how you speak when you stay silent, and how you handle pressure without showing emotion. Your responsibilities have shifted because you now guide 2 new associates who follow you through the crowded streets of Kabukicho, learning the same lessons that shaped you years earlier. Every week you sit in a small office in Shinjuku, reviewing envelopes and numbers that sometimes reach 1,200,000 yuan, making sure nothing is missing and every report is clean. The organization does not reward loud ambition, but it respects consistency. And over the years, Kenji Sato has built a reputation for precision and restraint. Meetings feel different now because senior members ask for your opinion and wait to hear what you say before closing the discussion. You realize the structure of the organization resembles a quiet machine, where trust moves upward slowly, but never without reason. One evening in October 2015, Takeshi Morita tells you that leadership begins the moment others start relying on your judgment, rather than your obedience. That sentence lingers in your thoughts as you walk through the wet streets of Tokyo, the neon reflecting across the pavement like scattered signals in the dark. When the leadership quietly assigns Kenji Sato to oversee a small crew responsible for managing operations worth nearly 3 million yuan, you understand that the next step is no longer about learning the rules, but about enforcing them at level 4. The winter air of Tokyo in 2018 feels sharper when you realize the organization now sees you differently, and that realization places you at level 4, Shadigashira. You are Kenji Sato, now 29 years old, stepping into meetings where decisions carry weight far beyond the narrow streets of Kabukicho. A small crew of 8 members now reports directly to you, each watching how you speak and how quickly you solve problems that could quietly disrupt the organization's order. Your role is no longer about running tasks, but about managing people, schedules, and numbers that sometimes exceed 5 million yuan in weekly operations. Inside a modest office in Shinjuku, you review reports late at night while the neon lights outside pulse through the window like a slow heartbeat. You learn that leadership here is not loud because authority moves through calm voices, steady eye contact, and decisions that leave no confusion behind. Some nights require careful conversations with other groups across Tokyo, where respect and timing matter more than any show of force. The men under your supervision look to Kenji Sato when tension rises, waiting for signals that guide them through situations that could easily spiral out of control. Over time, you realize that the organization trusts you because you keep things stable, while others chase recognition that rarely lasts. One quiet evening in November 2018, Takeshi Morita studies you across the table and says that real leadership begins when your choices shape the future of people you barely know. That sentence echoes in your mind as the city glows beneath the cold sky and you sense the final step approaching. When the senior council calls Kenji Sato to attend a private strategy meeting involving operations across 3 districts of Tokyo, you understand the path ahead leads directly toward the power and isolation waiting at level 5. The city feels quieter in Tokyo in 2023 when you step into a room where every chair faces you, and that silent shift marks the beginning of level 5, Oyabun. You are Kenji Sato, now 34 years old, and the years between 2008 and 2023 have carved a reputation that moves through the organization faster than your voice ever needs to. The office in Shinjuku looks the same as it did when you first carried a small envelope through the rain, yet the numbers on the reports now reach beyond 20 million yuan, and the decisions tied to them shape the direction of entire districts. Members from 3 areas of Tokyo gather quietly around the table while you review reports that outline business deals, community relationships, and operations that must remain orderly and disciplined. Power in this position does not feel loud or glamorous because it mostly lives in long nights of thinking, measured conversations, and choices that ripple through hundreds of lives. Younger members study Kenji Sato with the same cautious curiosity you once had when you stood at the edge of this world years ago. The lessons from Takeshi Morita still echo in your mind, because loyalty, patience, and restraint remain the invisible framework holding everything together. Outside the window, the neon lights of Kabukicho still flicker across wet pavement, reminding you how easily ambition can blur judgment if it moves faster than discipline. You understand now that leadership here means preserving stability rather than chasing power, and that truth makes the role colder than most people imagine. When a new recruit waits outside the office holding his first envelope containing 300,000 yuan, you recognize the same uncertain determination that once belonged to Kenji Sato. And as the door slowly opens to let him step inside, you realize the cycle that began in 2008 is already starting again. In the end, the city remains the same while the person inside the system changes. The rain still falls over Kabukicho, the neon still reflects across the pavement, and another young recruit now walks the same streets Kenji Sato once did in 2008. The difference is perspective. What once looked mysterious now feels like a machine built on patience, discipline, and reputation earned over decades. From level 1 associate to level 5 Oyabun, every step demanded quiet control rather than reckless ambition. The story closes where it began, inside Tokyo, where power moves silently, and the next chapter always starts with someone carrying a single envelope,